Welcome to the CEO Stylist podcast, where two unlikely CEOs come together and rewrite the narrative of what it means to be a CEO stylist. Yovanka, Loria and Kirsten Harris are on a mission, giving stylists permission to join the movement of artists breaking the mould of what is meant to be for the hair industry and creating the life and schedule of their dreams. Fast forward through many failed attempts and lessons learned in the process, it's time to level up the playing field. It's time to call BS on what's been done before. Yovanka and Kirsten are ready to share it all, defying the odds of the industry and teaching you how to do the same.
Welcome back to the CEO Stylist.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Hey, Kirsten.
I feel like I haven't seen you for ages.
It has been a minute.
Where have you been?
Been hiding in my little shell.
Yeah, there you go. Well, we've got a ripper today, haven't we?
We've got a ripper today. We've had so many people call in for this one, so...
We have. And I don't even know where. I think the girls may have put something on our stories, and really the topic today is we're going to talk about who owns the client. It's really a topic of hot conversation.
Correct.
And I think everyone who owns a service-based business will have their own opinion, but we thought we would take a few stories from the public.
Our listeners, yep. And we've had a few answering, so we thought what a perfect opportunity to give our take and hopefully share some advice.
All right.
Be it right or be it wrong.
I'm going to read out the scenario. And
you're going to read out their stories or their questions?
I'm going to read it out, and then let's thrash this one out, because I don't even know what I'm reading yet.
Amazing. This is best. Off the cuff.
Okay,
fresh. Go for it.
All right. This is situation number 1. Hi, I'm a 39-year-old salon owner based in WA. I desperately need advice on how to handle this situation. Basically, I had a staff member, a 25-year-old female apprentice, let's call her Laura for the purpose of the story. Laura recently breached her contract, and in line with this, a significant work issue has occurred between my Laura and one of our very loyal clients at my salon. Oh God. I won't get into the details, but the breach of the contract had a negative impact on my reputation, on the salon reputation, and nearly caused my loyal client to never come back. So I had no choice but to let Laura go. So I understand that we all make mistakes. So instead of firing Laura, I spoke to her maturely, and she had agreed to not verbalize the issue and resign from her position on paper, making the resignation look like it occurred on good terms. Now, Laura has gone and found employment at a new salon. However, here's the catch. The salon she is working at is actually owned by a friend of mine. Let's call her Mary. Mary reached out to me to let her know she was hiring my ex-staff member, which I was completely okay with. Now, back to Laura. For some context, Laura had been with me for over 3 years and had developed a rather loyal client base at my salon. Now she has moved salons and is working for Mary, who owns Laura's clients, or who owns the clients Laura was looking after when she worked at this person's salon. Does she have the right to reach out to the clients she services regularly at my salon and let them know where she has moved?
Interesting.
So
I think,
unpack it.
This whole topic of conversation is who owns the clients is one thing, but it's really who owns the client list or the database, right? Because
so let's just recap on this. Laura did her apprenticeship with this salon.
So it sounds like...
Yeah, so she was a 25-year-old female apprentice, and Laura breached her agreement. She's now gone. And now she's working for Mary, which is a friend of this salon owner. And so in that time... So I'll assume by reading this story that Laura worked for salon number 1 for a few years. Completed her apprenticeship. So at least 4 years, right? Okay, so she came with no clients because she
came the usual, really. Like usually when they come to a salon.
Interesting.
And I think this is what it comes down to. Here's my take on it, and then you can add your take as well. Mm-hmm. I think it's so tricky because I think going back even to when we were looking at leaving our accountant, and we wanted to work with the accountant that was leaving, there was a contract in place. Even if we went and sought out the accountant, that she was restrained even in agreeing to work with us.
Right.
Even agreeing to work for us. So I think this is where it gets a little bit blurred lines and tricky with salon owners and staff moving on, because no one has issues with people moving on. And let's be real, like in this industry, it's such a personal relationship that you build. And I think in this particular scenario, I think there's two things that could work, you know, for both of them, or maybe even, because it sounds like there's a lot of collateral damage that could occur, because if the salon owner or the two salon owners don't get on the same page, you know, it could backfire. And it sounds like the salon owner called out and reached out. So she didn't hire her without reaching out. So she did the right thing. I know if that was me, I would be saying to my friend, what would you like me to do in this situation? If I'm taking this staff member on, what would you like me to do? Because I think this is where it could go wrong. If the staff member moves on and then there's a decline in the business and that particular salon has other team members that they need to build, I can see where it can get a little bit of a grey area.
But let's go back to the issue. So the issue was who owns the client?
Well, again, it's always the salon that owns the client, but staff don't see it that way. Let me just rephrase that. I feel like the salon owns the client, but it's up to the client where they want to go. Right? It's a little bit, because now that I've been on the other side, not to interrupt you, I can see, because I was that artist, and now I can see it as a business perspective as well. But it really is up to the client at the end of the day, right?
Well, I mean, that's the perspective. There's two issues that I got out of that. One is, I think the closing question was something like, does she, as in Laura, have the right to reach out to the clients who she regularly services? So my question number one, back to whoever submitted this in, how is it that Laura has a client list that she could contact them? Because there's not been a mention of social media accounts. So I'm going to assume, so my upfront answer to that is absolutely no way. Like if we're talking about a client list that Laura could have her hands on, then no. I think that is in really poor
But a client
form.
list also would be, like these days, let's face it, everyone is on social media.
But that's not a client list. That's completely different. I'm talking
But it's still a client database.
Well, no, it's not.
It is if they can reach you and contact you.
But no, a client database is literally like your
phone number,
pulling a report, and
sure.
You have direct
phone
contact.
number.
So to that, I say no. And this is where I think salon owners get a bit demented over what is ethically the right thing to do all around. Ethically, I think the right thing to do for someone leaving is not to make direct contact with the clients.
Correct.
But we all know, because we're connected in social media, that if a client of salon number like A, that wants to follow a stylist, they're going to find out. So whether or not the existing salon notifies the client list and lets them know that Laura's left, this is where she's gone, but we would like to keep you as a client.
100%.
That's how I would handle it.
Correct.
So to answer the question that's come in, should she be allowed to contact the client base?
No, of course not.
But you can't stop the clients from making
contacting
their own decision.
Of course.
So that's...
And you can't stop the client from contacting them either. But like I was saying, remember when I had a staff member leave, Roland, which was one of my friends for 20 years.
Yeah.
And he had his own salon, went to Melbourne, came back, worked here for a year, went and opened up his own salon, or, rent a chair from home.
That?
Exactly, because we had this trust between each other. And it was so funny because when he left, he essentially took a lot of my clients over and built his clientele here, because he had just came from Melbourne with no clients. And I was aware enough to be like, hey, if the client's going to come with you, just take them. And he was honestly one of the first ones ever that I've ever come across that when the clients were reaching out, he would decline them. And he would say no to them. And he would screenshot the message and he would say, I'm sorry, I can't touch anyone from Wales, which that's where I was going back to with...
Yeah, I like that.
With the accountant. That's where it's a fine line, because in any other industry, especially corporate, even if clients do reach out to you, the right ethical, if you're speaking about ethical thing to do, would be like, I'm sorry, I can't touch anyone because I'm under contract, which is in the contract.
But employees do sign agreements. But I think where I believe the industry's probably got this a bit mucked up.
A bit skewed.
They put this non-competing clause in, which could be interpreted that you're essentially stopping a stylist from doing what they know how to do.
Which is very difficult.
And that's earn an income, which you can't prevent someone from earning income. But you can definitely put some parameters in place, I believe, to stop them.
To try to protect.
Yeah.
Correct.
Soliciting. So it's called client solicitation.
100%.
Vastly different from the client finds out where her favourite stylist has gone and she's going to follow.
100%.
Don't make it the client. I say audience.
Never make
it the client's problem.
Never make it the client's issue. Exactly.
Right.
And if that's a big takeaway, I think this is where salons also go wrong, where they get the clients involved. And like what you're saying, exactly. If you have a database of your clients, reach out, let them know it's your responsibility to have that relationship with your clients. And then really at the end of the day, if they're going to go with that staff member, they're going to go. There's nothing that you can do about it.
Yeah. All right, so for situation number 1 that we just read out, we both agree that the salon A owns the client, but let's not make it the client's problem.
Let's not make it the client's problem.
Okay, so you ready for number 2?
Ready.
Number 2. God, this is, okay. Woo, I can see capital letters at the end. Hi, I need some help. I'm a fully qualified hairdresser, 28-year-old female, and a few months ago I applied for a job at my dream salon in Brisbane. I was lucky enough to be hired at this salon and I couldn't believe it, and everything seemed perfect, absolutely perfect. For some context, this is an extremely well-known salon in the industry and it was hard to find a job opening to begin with. It's important to note that when I applied for the job at this particular salon, I had my own personal Instagram account for my hair services and business that I'd already had over 10,000 followers. Now that I have the job, the salon has actually asked me to sign a contract stating that any clients I service at the salon, including my own clients that I had retained and have serviced personally for years before I started working there, will now be owned by the salon I'm working at. I feel a bit stuck. This is my dream job at my dream salon, but I don't think it's fair that they take ownership of the existing loyal clients just because they hire me. Where do I stand with this? Does the salon have the right to these clients even though they were originally my client? Please help.
Fascinating.
So let's just recap. She is the employee in this case. She's just landed her dream job as a stylist. It reads as if she's had her own, like she's definitely had her own hair Instagram page with 10,000 followers. And it does say that she was servicing these clients. So I don't know whether she was rent-a-chair or whatever it was, but let's assume in context that she's joining this salon and she has her own client database that are following her.
Correct.
And they want her to sign a contract stating that any clients I service at the salon, including my own, that I've retained and serviced personally for years before I started working there, will now be owned by the salon.
Help in capitals.
Help.
And I think rent-a-chair wouldn't apply because if you're renting a chair, the clients belong to you anyway. But in this situation, it sounds like she's an employee of the salon, right?
Yeah.
So can I give my take on it?
Sure.
So and this happened to me as well, where I was working previously to coming here because I had started to build traction with my own social media following, and I started to pull in clients because I was, starting a niche service and bringing in something that the salon didn't have. So for us, it was a little bit more clear cut because obviously when I left, we were happy for me to take the clients that I brought in. And I kind of still stick with that. If an employee has a following and they're really big and active on social media and they're bringing awareness and they're bringing, extra clients to I feel like that's where salon owners need to be a little bit more fair and be like, have a middle ground where they're able to take the clients that they've been able to bring in. Yeah. Don't you think?
So leave with what you started with.
Leave with what you started with.
Yeah, that's how I see that. And I certainly, in my time when I owned salons, that was a scenario that came up regularly, and I always had the opinion. In fact, we used to create a list of who those clients were, and they were marked in the system, so we knew that they were and where they'd come from. So when a new employee started, it was really clear.
Easy to track.
Easy to track. So yeah, I have the theory, leave with what you started with.
I agree. And if you're really good, and I hate to bring Roland into this.
Sorry, Roland.
Sorry, no, but in a good way, because, we're still so supportive of one another, help each other.
Yeah.
And when you have that, that when you're amazing at what you do, kind of like a salon, but you just have more responsibility and more risk. It's not really about you when you lose, because it can really cripple and butcher a business when someone leaves with a full clientele, right? Because if you have other team members, it's not really about lining your pockets. It's more about making sure that you're the risk for the other staff members that they're taking care of, right? But with Roland, when he left, it really took him about 3 months to build up his own clientele.
Okay.
Do you know? So I think with that mindset, and I get the artist that's leaving or the stylist is like they want to also leave with, some sense of security.
Yeah.
So I think if they just find that middle ground, I think it can be done amicably and respectfully and mutually where both parties.
Isn't it really interesting though? I'm just going to come back to something that you just said. So when Roland real mention.
He's going to love a mention.
Roland worked for you, he left, he went out on his own, and you just said it took him 3 months to build his own client base. From my perspective, certainly in my role now, and it's a regular conversation that I have with clients, why is it then when stylists are employed, they're not working as hard as the self-employed stylist to build that client base?
It's always the way.
So, they're not... Okay, so for Roland, let's use him as an example. He's self-employed, he doesn't have any staff, and he solely relies on his efforts to, input versus output, right? Or vice versa. So that was his whole focus, I assume. He left with nothing, he had to start again. So he made it his mission to build a client list. I guess I come part frustration with when I see salon owners, they work with me, and they spend a lot of money on marketing to generate clients for their team. This might end up being another problem we could solve. And then you still have stylists that work, they've been in the salon for 2, 3, 4 years and they're not at capacity. Why?
I think it's also a little bit of psychology. I think also when you're comfortable, there's no reason to push yourself because you've got that security, right?
Because what you're saying is because they get paid every
week. They get
week.
paid regardless. And most people, and I hate to label the industry and I hate to label, most people, but most people will just do the bare minimum. If they're given an opportunity to do a job. And especially because that mindset is hourly rate. So hourly rate comes into it. Whereas when they're working for themselves, it's a whole different dynamic because, again, they're doing something for themselves and I think that you've got a lot more to lose.
Yeah.
Right? And a lot more to gain if you can make it work. So, but then it can also happen when someone goes out by themselves, they have a rude awakening because everyone, mark our words, that goes out on their own will have a different respect.
Yeah.
And we'll have, because we were all that young artists that were like, but these are my clients, where you don't even give a second thought to the business. Right?
Yeah.
But when you're in that position, I think, given a time, everyone will understand when it happens, when they go through it.
Who owns the client then, right?
Who owns the client then? And can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Do you, because now there's a lot of salons that we speak to that, everyone is, a lot of the artists are going out on their own independently, renting a chair. Do you think people that rent a chair will feel it on their own as opposed to someone who's actually running a team and running a salon?
Give me the scenario.
Well, exactly that. If they're only running their schedule and their business and their column and their team, will they have the same feeling of what business owners go through as opposed to running a team?
Yeah, I do believe so. And in some cases, from what my observation is, that a lot of, let's not just call it rent a chair, they've got high costs, especially when they're not running a team, because it's all about they're trading time for money. So when you've got one person that's trading time for you, as one person, there's only so much you can do in a 10
until you hit a cap,
12
correct.
hours, right? You can't have 5 people sitting in a chair. Well, I don't think you can, and servicing 5 people at once. So when you're on your own, I do think the pressure is there.
Even more so.
Even more so than if you've got a team. The sweet spot is everyone needs to work at capacity.
Correct. But I don't think they'll ever feel the sting of someone taking their clients unless they lose clients and it affects their pockets.
They'll only ever feel it if you're talking now rent a chair?
Yeah, I'm talking like
okay, so scenario is they've been employed in a salon, they resign, they leave, they go out on their own, they take their clients. I believe they'll only really feel the impact of that when they employ and it happens to them.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
But they'll still feel the sting of, I thought the business was making more from me than what I was.
Yeah.
They'll feel that sting.
Or it's all those unexpected costs that come up. But I do think that there's a lot of pressure on rent a chair because
I agree.
It's expensive to run a business on your own. You don't have the I won't say luxury, because it's not luxury having staff. It's a responsibility.
Sometimes a liability.
It is if they're not at capacity.
Correct.
Yeah.
Can be.
So there you go.
Interesting. All right. So we
got
both
another
agree.
one.
We both agree on that one.
Yeah.
We've got one more.
Don't peek. I'm going to read it to you.
I have to read it in order to.
No.
I have to read it in order for it to enter my brain.
I think I was asked before to describe you in 3 words. I should have changed crazy Serb to control freak. Okay, here's the third one. Hi, I'm a 42-year-old female business owner with 3 separate hair salons in Queensland. I don't work directly in the salons doing hair, but continue to manage and orchestrate all 3 businesses from the back end. Recently, within the last 12 months, all 3 of my salons have undergone a much needed rebrand. We hired a graphic designer who solidified our brand colours, language, logo, and everything in between. In line with the rebrand, all of the staff members at each salon have also been asked to update their professional hair Instagram pages to match the main salon page, and happily obliged. This means that all employee page usernames include the salon name, and an employee Instagram bios somewhat correspond with each other. So for example, it would be @Sarah_ and then the salon name. I get that. So now for the issue. One of my fully qualified stylists who has been with me for 2 years has just resigned and has asked me if I'm happy for her to change the name of her hair Instagram page, remove all of the old photos that she took of her work at her time at our salon, and continue using the Instagram account on a fresh slate. She plans on opening her own salon and starting with her own business, and wants to use the same Instagram account because she's accumulated a loyal following of around 5,500 followers and doesn't want to start growing a brand from a new account. Now, I don't want to be the bad guy, but I feel uncomfortable knowing that an ex-employee will be utilising an Instagram account that has nearly all of our existing salon clients on it to promote her new business. Keep in mind that this business is seen as a competitor to our salon and has the potential to take away clients from the business. This employee created the Instagram account 6 months before being employed by us, but didn't upload any feed posts or utilise it. She only started utilising this hair page once she was employed at our salon and was regularly posting stories, feed posts, and her followers grew rapidly during her time at our salon. What do I do here? Does she technically own this Instagram page created before she was employed at our salon, despite her success occurring during her time at our salon? Does it make a difference if it was labelled under our salon name? And how do I prevent her from taking our current salon clients? Please help. That's a big one.
That's a big one.
So I'm reading this. In context, the employee created that hair Instagram
6 months
page
before she started,
and it was renamed Sarah _ salon name.
Yeah, under the salon's name, and they built it up to 5,500. I think, can I give my take first? I think this is where it's really important. When I first started, and I had an issue with a staff member.
Yeah.
That built it up. I was in infant stage of my Instagram account. She didn't do the right thing in the end, left on bad terms, and then we sent her an email saying, can you please just take down all your photos, blah, blah, blah. But she still got to keep her Instagram following.
Yeah.
And I knew intuitively that I was going to build a team at that point, and that's where, honestly, I got this from Natalie Ann, and I thought it was a brilliant idea, where before they even start, you have to lay out the contracts, the social media contract of what their expectation is, because it sounds like once it's done and dusted, and if you don't have anything in place, once you get to the 2-year mark, then you're like, what happens? And it's a little bit tricky to decide if you haven't set the parameters around, a policy, a social media policy or expectation. And my take again on it, I have that in place as a protection.
What do you have in place?
Social media policy that we own the handle. We have the password.
So you set up the Instagram page.
So we set up the Insta, and it's part of their KPI structure. So I know we've spoken about this before, and I remember you saying, ages ago, there's no incentive for them to do that, but it's part, if you embed it in culture and embed it as part of your onboarding process, I believe it becomes a part of the culture. And it's just an expectation and a clear KPI, which I explain to my staff, because before our KPIs used to be upsell.
Yeah.
Whereas one of my KPIs is just post 2 or 3 times a week.
Right.
It's not that hard. It's part of your job. So if you embed it, it's really clear. You set out the expectations and then they agree to take on that role.
And then what happens in your salon then with their Instagram account? Because that's different to this, and we'll come back to this scenario. So when an employee leaves your salon, you own the page?
If my employee leaves a salon on good terms, it would be up to me to give them that page.
Would you?
Absolutely. If they left, like Roland, I was like, take the page, because he was amazing at it. I completely trusted him.
Right, okay.
And I was like, take the page. I don't care who do you know what I mean? Because he was always honest about leaving. He was honest about where he was going, what he was doing. There's no issue.
Right.
I think the thing is that, it's just there for protection when people leave and they don't do it the right way. Because if I had a staff member come to me and was like, yo, I've done, say it was Ash, for example, who's been with me for 5-6 years. She's pregnant now, which she's announced to everyone, so I can say it. And if it was Ash and she said, yo, I want to, open up a salon at home, even if she's down the road from me, I would give her her Instagram handle because she was honest with me. I still trust her. She's been with me for 5-6 years.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I would never take away that opportunity because she's still been loyal through and through. But just because she wants to go do her own thing doesn't mean that I wouldn't give her access to those clients because I would find her anyway, right?
So now come back to this scenario we've got.
It's a little bit tricky because there's nothing in place from the beginning.
Yeah.
And I think it's case by case for me. Because again, if she's done the right thing and you trust her and you know that clients are going to find her regardless, it really, I'd say be open to it because depending on also what location she's in.
Right.
Is she close by? How close is she? Do you know what I mean? It's so many factors because I can be a hard ass with some things. It's more like when they don't do the right thing. But if this girl sounds like she's done the right thing, she's built it up for 2 years, she's built up a following for 2 years, I would be more inclined, me personally, if she did the right thing to give it to her.
Well, here's the thing though, she doesn't need to do the right thing because she owns the Instagram page. That's technically, I'm just answering the questions. Does she technically own this? She as in the employee? Yes, she does.
Well, she came there with it.
Correct.
So I feel like the salon owner,
does not own it.
No, the salon owner should have started it from their own page.
She owned the page before she came in. That's kind of like on the
salon owner.
Because we all start, when we employ someone, we all think that they're not going to fuck us over or do anything bad because everyone loves each other on the way in. We don't think about worst case scenario when they're on their way out. So to answer the question, does she technically own the page?
Yeah, she
the
does.
Employee owns it.
Employee.
But because she was just by her success occurring, doesn't matter. You allowed that to happen. Does it make a difference if it was labelled under our name? No. And I guess there's a few things that we don't know. Was there a social media agreement signed? Even if there was a social media agreement signed, that if the scenario is as a salon owner, you allow an employee to change the naming convention of their professional hair page to match yours, then technically they still own it. What you do own is the IP, and the IP is extended to only to the photos, not to the followers.
Correct. You're right. You're absolutely right. So then
because it's a public domain. That's how this works. So you can contract if you're going to run it this way. And I've got clients that do both. And I'm going to talk about my scenario in a minute, my experience with this. But you can contract that they can remove the photos on the way out.
Yep.
Which is fine.
And still keep your following.
And there's some things that I think all salon owners should be aware of. Who's taking the photos and what phone do they belong on?
Correct.
So it's all those things. I see it a lot. You probably do. Stylists have their phones in their pocket. So they're whipping their phones out to take photos. When I had my salons, I was really hot on this about mobile phones had to be away. And I believe things have changed a lot. Like this was a few years ago now, and there was one central phone that everyone used, and that's, as far as I'm concerned, that's where the photos sat. I have had experience with both where we created, and that's how I really, really wanted to run it in my business, that we created the hair pages and everyone as an employee, you got to have that hair page, and we kind of coin it that it was a privilege, but no one fucking did anything with it. And then I was challenged by my communications manager at the time, Lani, and she said, I don't think there's an incentive. And now I respected her opinion because she'd come from a highly geared brand outside of the industry that helped grow a very successful social media platform. And, she said there's not a lot of incentive for them to do it because when they leave, they don't get to keep any of this. The followers are kind of dead. And I went, okay. So I felt really vulnerable as a salon owner then.
Sure.
To go, well, I have to do this. I'm more or less. So I think I surrendered to the process because I'm like, if you're going to allow them to have their own social media platform, which helps the brand.
And I actually really like that, where you can have it in your contract to remove all the photos, any IP, because it's your IP.
Yeah.
And then they can keep. I think that's
But it comes back to the client. The real issue behind all of this, it's not really the social media accounts. Let's be fair. It's all, the concern will always lay with where does the client sit in all of this?
And I guess it's the clients that are building the relationship, so that's a given.
Yeah.
It's like someone working for a cleaning company.
Yeah.
Your cleaner, you become close with that cleaner. She knows your family.
And it's annoying as the salon
annoying.
owner. It's annoying for us as the business owners, right? Because your team say they're my clients. Well, actually, they're not. I fucking pay the bills. They're the clients of the business. You just happen to service them.
Correct.
But you didn't bring them.
Correct.
I paid for them to be here.
Correct. Is that your take on your experience with it?
Oh, well, I think I've spoken of my story where I've had that scenario in Sydney where he believed that they were his clients, so he doesn't think that there's any ethical issue. And I think all of these scenarios are always designed around, everything goes well until the employee leaves.
Everything goes well until it doesn't.
Until it doesn't, right? And then, so that scenario that I had in Sydney that we've spoken about was awful, no matter how you looked at it. But at the end of the day, they weren't his clients. Those clients belonged to the business, and the business paid for them to come to the brand. Yes, that stylist was looking after them. It's a weakness.
It's a weakness.
It's a weakness and a strength.
I think, like you're saying, you're a lot more exposed because of the relationship building, and that's why I just encourage anyone that's listening that has a business, the best thing that you can do in this situation, that's why I strive really hard to connect, even though I'm off the floor, we have, developed, a solid relationship with our clients as well, because that's the only thing that you can do, and then it's really up to them.
In other industries there's restraint of trade clauses, right?
But I think a lot of people are abolishing that. I don't even think that. I think that's just a scare tactic.
Yeah.
Because you really can't.
Well, my sister works for a law firm and they all have their own clients, right? And I've asked her that. So you're midway through a client profile, and what happens when you leave? And again, interestingly, I don't know if all law firms work like this, but she said it's the client's responsibility, but to make that decision. So they are given the option. So they're notified that their lawyer's leaving.
And they tell them where they're going?
I believe so.
That's the best way.
Yeah, and then in order for that file, so there are some legal constraints around the outgoing lawyer, but the client is in a position to redirect their file. So
correct. And do you know, I was just thinking back, this is a very Tony and Guy strategy. Do you remember back in the days why they actually implemented, once an apprentice finishes their apprenticeship, that they need to choose and specialise in a certain area,
right?
Whether they were colourist or whether they were a cutter.
No, I never. I mean, I knew that was their model, but I thought. And
do you know why that model was introduced? Purely so that the client didn't belong to that one person.
Yeah, right.
Whereas now we've implemented, even with what we do, it's such a high-end customer service that we encourage no double booking. That client is with you from start to finish. Yeah. So again, you're exposing yourself to having that one person touch that one client, but that's why it was implemented. And when I was younger, I was like that disgruntled artist, like, you can't put me in a box, I want to do everything.
Yeah.
But it was very clear, if you want to work in these salons, you have to specialise. And that was the reasoning behind it. And I remember that was it wasn't smart, it was manipulation. It was manipulation. But now I see the other side. Now I see the other side. And that was their way of trying to protect their business. But they were, again, losing. This is what I mean. If you look at it both sides, they implemented it for a reason, to protect the business, but then they were losing the artist, because not all artists wanted to just pigeon themselves. So it's kind of the same thing is happening again.
Yeah.
So I just think it has to be a little bit more respectful. If it's done properly, you know, you'll benefit from it in the long term. The salon will do right by you, the clients will do right by you, and then it's up to, you know, what's that saying that we went and did in Bali? Relationships beat algorithm.
For sure,
You
they
know?
really do. And I think my parting words, as we wrap this up, as the salon owner, as much as it hurts, and we know how it feels, regardless of the scenario, when an employee leaves, whether they were good, bad, or indifferent, it does hurt. It hurts emotionally, it hurts the business in some way. But my parting words and gift is, don't be that disgruntled employer. Don't talk about it in the staff room. Don't share it with other team members. Just like move from it, learn from it.
And move forward.
Yeah.
And then everyone can, you know, find their path. That is a really important thing. I remember working for, you know, staff.
And hire me if you want more clients.
And hire you if you want more clients. That's
Joking.
right. It's so true. That's why,
Yeah.
you know, at the end of the day, I think now, 2024, it's going to be interesting what happens this year because, you know, everyone has dropped a little bit in services. It is a little bit more sticky situation. So I think if everyone just focuses on what they do best, they will always come around and end up.
I wrote a caption this morning that will go on our socials, like my BDB group socials, and it's all around, it actually is around, it's coined, social media is not marketing. And so I want that to land with people, that social media is not a marketing strategy, and there is so much more as a salon owner that you can do to nurture those relationships, regardless of who owns the social media account, what's going on, what those dynamics are. I think that there is a lot more you can do to potentially safeguard you from losing clients. Like, it really is around, I wrote a caption, L, thumbs up to this one. It'll probably be out by the time we release this podcast, around, you know, the client nurturing.
Oh, so important.
Build that relationship as the brand.
Correct.
If you allow your stylist, and the only touch point that your client has in the business is when they're sitting in the chair, that's on you as the owner.
100%. And I think this is an important, have plan B. You're always thinking of the positives, and like you're saying, you don't know what's going to happen until it happens. It's kind of like having a crisis management in place.
Yeah.
If you think about it, also when it happens, you're kind of prepared for it. You know, so hopefully we can
It will happen.
It will happen.
I say this to my clients now. If my employee leaves, rephrase it. When they leave you, because they're not going to stay. Like, we all want to
100%.
think.
And do you know, on this
not
note
staying.
as well, we've had so many more people come through as well, asking or wanting to share and commending us for sharing our story, whether it was good, bad, indifferent.
I know, that was
like
a bit
you're saying,
spicy, wasn't
it's a bit
it?
spicy, but then everyone's coming out with their own stories as well. And I want to bring a couple on as well who want to share. I really want to open up this conversation because we can really keep scratching the surface on it. And I think by sharing people's story, because it's always the good ones that keep quiet.
Yep.
Right? It's always the good ones that keep quiet, and the ones that are chattering in the background are usually the ones that are digging their claws into a situation. So let's keep opening up this conversation. If you guys have any more stories or any more scenarios you want to share, please do, and we'll bring them up on our podcast as well. Might invite you on as well to share if you're open to it.
There you go. On that note, we're going to wrap it up.
Let's wrap it up. Thank you guys.
Thanks, Queen.
Thanks, Queen Bee.